Hello and welcome to another tutorial here at Capo Productions. My name is David. Today we're going to be looking at how to play Left and Right by Charlie Puth. Very cool song. Love the guitar part of the song. I've been jamming a little bit this morning and it reminds me a lot actually of my teenage years when I was listening to Sum 41 and Blink-182. Or this kind of like palm muted style of playing, really energetic, and even though it's like kind of a very different style to this, it's nice to hear that that influence is still around in popular music today. So in this tutorial I'm going to break it into three sections. The first section is going to be a playthrough of the main riff, that's like the backbone of the song. The second section is like it's like a tiny little variation of that happens in the second chorus. And then the third section is the bridge, which is totally different, like completely. So if you want to navigate this tutorial, check the timestamps below. That'll take you to whatever you're after. If you want access to the tabs or the chords of the song, link in the description to my Patreon page. You can support me and then get access to this and like a million other things. There's so much stuff on there now. But of course, you really don't need to. Everything that you need to learn the song is in this tutorial. So let's jump into it. All right, before we get our fingers on the strings, the very first thing you want to get right is make sure your capo is on the second fret and that your guitar is in standard tuning. At this point, I'm going to play through the riff and then I'm going to break down what I'm doing with the left and right hands. No pun intended. All right, let's take a listen. 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to slow that down because I was playing a little bit fast. Nice under tempo. Now that you've got a bit of an idea of what this sounds like, let's talk about the right hand and palm muting. Now, if you've never done palm muting, I'm going to give you a bit of a crash course right now, which I think you'll find to be super helpful. So palm muting, pretty self-explanatory. Use the palm of your right hand to mute the strings on the guitar. And what this does is it kind of closes the sound of the strings. They're not resonating. It's kind of a darker sound, a warmer sound. And it can be pretty cool if you're trying to create like contrast between the harmony and the chords and like the vocal part, for example. So I think it works really well in this song. In order to get this right, you're going to take your palm and you're going to rest it on the saddle of the guitar. Now this part's the bridge. Within the bridge is the saddle. And that is kind of what the strings are physically resting on before they feed into the bridge. You're going to take your palm, put it on the saddle, and then slowly bring it up like a few centimeters up onto the string so that your palm is touching the strings. Then you're going to kind of grab your guitar pick if you have one. You'll notice I don't have one. I kind of use the nail of my index finger as a guitar pick, but it's the same technique. So you're going to use your thumb and your index finger to pinch the guitar pick, and then you're going to try and just see, just with the open strings, the change in sound. So you can move your palm back behind the saddle and you'll hear it's just open strings now. You're not doing anything. And as you bring your palm across, you'll hear that the sound starts to change. Pretty cool, I think. It really changes the quality like completely. So once you've got a bit of a feel for that, then you'll be all set to take a look at the left hand. So experiment just strumming the strings and trying to move your palm very slowly across to see how that changes the sound. Okay, let's talk about the left hand. So here we start off almost like a C major shape, but you're just worrying about your second and your third finger. Second finger on the second fret of the fourth string, third finger on the third fret of the fifth string, as indicated by the tabs below. And you're going to do that 8 times. Now, what you want to watch out with your right hand is you're just plucking those 2 strings. You don't want to hit anything else. Only those 2 strings, the fourth string and the fifth string. You're going to do that 8 times. Then at the beginning of bar 2, you'll see there's a change. Very simple change with the left hand. You just lift your third finger off, which you'll do 3 times. And then you're going to change. Your third finger is going to come down and your pinky finger is going to come down as well. Some people say, oh, well, my second finger is not doing anything. I can lift it off. Don't do that. Okay. Leave your second finger down. And you'll see why in a moment, because when we change back, then your second finger is ready for action. That's the reason why. Okay, so let's just watch this shape. This is the end of bar 2. Now, something else happens in bar 2 that's important is that we have these accents. Before I talk about the accents, I should also just mention that there's a 1 in brackets. That 1 is optional. You can play the first fret just to fill out this F sus2 chord. You can use your first finger or your thumb even, but it's optional. You don't have to. I think it sounds great without it, so it's not really that important. So the accents in bar 2, we have this offbeat feel. That's really important to get it to sound just like the original. So bar 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We're accenting the offbeat, the and beat. So you'll see each of those beats, they're paired together. The first of each pair is the strong beat, and the second of each pair is the weak beat. We want to accent the weak beat on the third and fourth beat. So the last chord and the third last chord, we're going to just get into a little bit more with the strum. And that's going to kind of make it louder than the other notes and draw attention to it. So in summary, let me play through the whole thing and then just remind you of a couple of things you need to watch out for. All right, so right hand, making sure that you're resting on the saddle, a few centimeters onto the strings. Left hand, making sure you use your second and third finger to start off, getting rid of your third finger, and then keeping your second finger down the whole time. Even though you're putting your third finger and your pinky finger down, keep your second finger down, and then the accents on the last beat and the last chord and the third last chord, and you should be all set. Okay, so that is the riff more or less. It's going to run through the whole song, except at the beginning, there's kind of like this break that happens, which I'd like to speak about a little bit. In order to get this right, I'm just going to sing through the very opening chorus. 2, 3, 4. Memories follow me left and right. I can feel you every So that's the trick. After that, the riff carries on. Like, there's no changes, except for 1 or 2 breaks that you might need to listen out for. But this is the big change, is at the very beginning. You play through the riff once. And then here is this hard break. So I put the tabs below, you can see. Those are the changes at that point. So if you stick to the tabs, it's the same shapes, but the rhythms change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you get the first riff, this is going to be a walk in the park. It's really not that hard. The main thing you need to get right, though, is muting the strings. So once you play them, you stop the sound of the strings completely. Even if it takes using your left hand, you just don't want any of that ringing. Okay, that covers the first section. The second section is the variation on the riff that we hear in the chorus. Now, this is important to get right. So let's talk a little bit about how this is different from the main riff. I'm going to play it through. Maybe listen and just see if you can tell the difference between the main riff that I went through earlier and this riff, and how the rhythm or the accents change. 2, 3, 4. So the main thing you'll notice here in the chorus is that the accents on the last chord and the third last chord that we had in the second bar earlier, that happens in both bars. That's the main difference. If you can get the accents right, then you'll be completely set for the chorus. If you're really struggling with it, just forget about it. Don't worry about the accents too much. You can always add them in later. But if it's within your ability while you're learning it, try. 2, 3, 4, nice and slow. All right, let's take a listen to the bridge. 2, 3, 4. All right, that gives you a bit of an idea of what the melody sounds like, although I probably didn't do that great of a job. But the main thing is getting the chords down. Now they have a very simple shape here, just kind of like a power chord shape. You're just playing 2 notes when you're strumming. And then then you're just going to move one string down. This is actually really easy to follow. The main thing that you're going to want to watch out for is your right hand, making sure that it's following your left hand. Especially here, when you're changing from this E5 chord to the D5 chord, watch out for that. Back to the E5. And then the change to the F5 chord is the one that is going to catch most people out. Because of this F minor shape. So here we're playing the power chord first and then the F minor shape. So that's really the hard part, is barring down with your first finger, getting all of those notes, and you're having your third finger and your pinky finger. Of course, there are easier ways to play this. For example, you could bar down with your first finger and just use your third finger and do like a half bar. But in my opinion, it's just get used to the whole thing. You might as well. You're gonna have this chord definitely if you keep playing the guitar, so it's a good thing to practice now. It will be a little bit easier with a capo, which I should note. And that really is the bridge. Then you'll head back into the chorus and play the main riff. So I think this is really everything that you need to know in this song. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still watching, I hope you make some great progress with the song, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.